So could you please bring us something different this year? Exactly. This year, we prepared a different mobile vehicle. Our Shanghai-style cafe on the mobile is going to be staged on this touring car. And the limo is going to accompany us through all those alleys and streets in Shanghai. And we've actually designed this appearance of this limo. It is conspicuous from a distance. If you saw us on the street, we welcome you to jump in and enjoy a cup of coffee with us. We do need a cup of coffee in such a raining day, so let's get on board. It's a little bit cool outside with the rains. You make the point, because it's now in deep autumn. The rains deliver us a different flavor of Shanghai. In these days, one special thing about Shanghai is about the trees and the arches, particularly the doors. Usually there will be an arch-shaped rooftops of all of those architecture in Shanghai along the streets. So let's enjoy our cup of coffee and warm ourselves up. It tastes the same as those 3 years ago. Speaking of the 3 years, our Shanghai-style cafe is of close relationship with the CIIE. Even though our program from CCTV is only 2 years old, but the Shanghai-style cafe has already undergone 3 years, and we are able to see more into the CIIE with this program. Our colleagues arrived earlier so as to bring us more experience before the opening. And right until now, it's already 3 years. So what's different this year? We're gonna visit a celebrity architecture. So it's in this picture. It's called Wukang Apartment, which used to be known as the Normandy Apartment. People used to take photos a lot in front of the Wukang Apartment, but you may never have heard about the history of it. Why is it so popular in recent years? And also, we're going to visit the head office and the showrooms that will cover the CIIE, and we are also going to visit some tourist spots in Shanghai like the Bund. And also we're going to introduce more about the Shanghai style culture. For example, we are going to visit a studio of paper cutting. And we have 2 other colleagues to bring you more introduction about the Chongsan clothing, which is a Shanghai style clothing. So today we start from architecture, and Heping, a young artist, will take us to visit the Heping restaurant, which is of 100 years history. So it is a miniature of the history, architecture in Shanghai. It is really a landmark. So that's just for your brief information, but we have more details to offer later on. So please stay with us in those afternoons upcoming. And also the theme of this year's CIIE is called that the CIIE for the world will allow you to feel the pulse of everyone. So all of those information of CIIE will be also shared in our program. Please pay attention. Before we start this show right now, we were preparing, and our vehicle is covered with the program name called Shanghai Style Cafe, and Shanghai locals have a special bond with cafe. So there was such a gentleman about our father's age asking us, what are you going to do? I said that we have a program. Sorry, I misunderstood, he said. I mistook you as a cafe shop, so I came here to buy one. And as you know, Shanghai ranks #1 in terms of the number of cafes. And we hope to encourage the idea of integration in our program because Shanghai is an integrated city. The architectures in Shanghai are usually typical of such integrated culture. When we were planning and designing for this program, we thought about where shall we go and what shall we cover. I asked some of my Shanghai friends. 3 of them recommended Wukang apartment at the same time. They said that there have been so many cafe shops around Wukang apartment. They are very unique. And even in the rainfalls today, we could smell the flowers. And there have been so many shops selling snacks. Because of the benefit of the work, I ate a lot of Shanghai cuisine. It's really delicious. And we were, in recent days, learning the Shanghai dialect, particularly the crabs. This is the right season for the crabs. And we invite you to come to Shanghai. You can smell the sweet-scented osmanthus and you can eat the delicious crabs and the local food. It has a lot to offer. Usually, on a sunny day, the Wukang Road will be home to a lot of visitors. And according to our guests, there may be daily visits of 20,000. And if you get off the car, this is a narrow alley, but it receives so many visitors every day. Why is that? Why is it so popular? I'm curious. And speaking of Wukang apartment, what's the function of it? Is it a complex or it is an artistic place? We are taking those questions with us for this interview. And we invited 2 very professional guests to be our guides. Now we are here. Get ready. Our journey here begins. Good afternoon, Mr. Xie and Wang. Please say hello to our viewers. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Xue Minghua. I am a designer of the surroundings about the city landscape. And this is Professor Wang Ling. I am a professor from Shanghai Jiaotong University. And I also one of the designers of this place. So you two will be our guides for this afternoon's journey. Please give us as many details as possible. FYI, we are now standing in the surroundings of Wukang apartment. This is a conjunction of 5 roads. Haipai Road, for example, and Wukang Road. At the conjunction of Wukang Road and Haipai Road, that is the residence of Wukang apartment. We saw so many pictures of Wukang apartment online. Let's cross the road first. So because of the conjunction position of 5 to 6 streets, this place has a very complex geographical location. In the city planning phase, this conjunction road is very special. There have been so many small plazas and pathways for the pedestrians. And this is a very special and unique flavor of Shanghai. And now you can see the overall look of Wukang apartment. We're now standing and looking from the west, and we're now setting our gaze at its east side. In history, Wukang apartment in the early days had become an important landmark architecture in Xuhui district. It's also a historical architecture. Since 1924, it was put here, and a famous architect, Udak, designed this building. In a sunny day, in summer, for example, there must be over 20,000 visitors here, right? Yes. If it's a good weather on the weekends, for example, from around 2 p.m., this place is home to a lot of visitors, and the number of the visitors just rise up instantly with no warning. So if we look from above the building at the streets, there must be consistent flow of population. Usually people stand here to shoot photos of Wukang apartment or take a photo together with the apartment. Because of that, we are still thinking about improving the designs here, particularly this standpoint. This used to be renovated, Miss Wang. Interestingly, if you look at this place from where we are standing, it has been extended by about 3.6 meters. In October 2019, the epidemic was properly controlled, so it is really crowded at that time in this place. Every day, there was 20,000 visitors cramped in this place. Many people preferred to take photos in the lanes of the cars. It was unsafe. And people view this place as a landmark. So, under the leadership of the government, we redesigned this place so as to guide the population flow. Shall we extend the pedestrian lanes? For everyone to take a photo with a cell phone. If they stand over there in the vehicle lane, it's a proper angle for photo taking. I found the reason for their crossing the road improperly, because this is the premium point of taking photos. So we extended the lane. And if you look at the well caps, it's also interesting. We adopted the most advanced processing technique of the stones. So you can see the water are now concentrated above the cap of the well in a round shape. And there is a sun-shaped logo. With this logo, you may learn that there will be some tourist spots in the surroundings. We named this plaza as the Round Dot Plaza. There are so many interesting places in the surroundings. We sincerely recommend you to come for a visit. Importantly, our government is very supportive. After all, we have extended the width of the lanes for 3.6 meters. That's very supportive. Even the fire engine vehicles can cross by. And this is a safe place. We had some fixed poles here. The city development is more fine management. And we value people flow. Some of the visitors are taking wedding photos. They are now standing in a safe position with the Wukang apartment behind them and the artistic well caps and safe environment now with our renovation. I see some coatings on some well caps, but for those caps, they are different. Usually the well caps with some artistic decorations on them are the premium positions for taking photos, so that's like a signal for the visitors. And this small plaza is tidy and neat. We used many invisible caps of the wells. So for our information, according to the professors, all of those well caps with some designs on them are the premium position of taking photos. We used to intend to find the best position. Then it hit us that for more visitors to take proper photos, there should be more angles and positions. And we also considered about the electricity poles. When they're taking photos, those electricity poles will not be blocking their sight or blocking their way between the person and the apartment building. So when you redesigned this place, you fully considered the benefits of visitors taking photos. And some of the facilities are improved as well. There are some neighborhoods in the surroundings. So there must be some service facilities. For example, the postal services or the utilities, they are saved here. We will have a visit later on. For example, a postal office. Now, this postal office is turned into a complex of postal office and cafe shops. And this place is more green. It looks like a garden. We could feel the greening of those resorts in Shanghai. That's the post office I was talking about. Previously, this was purely a post office for mailing, and then we reformed it. This is a space that we must pass by every day, and it belongs to our daily lives, so it must be very special. It's really surprising, because it looks like a cafe shop, but it turns out to be a post office. Can we go inside? Sure. Let's take a look inside. When we redesigned, this is the painted photo we designed for this post office. And we also made some postcards based on this photo. Inside, there are some postal functionalities reserved. And there are some creative products. When you shop here, there are a lot of creative souvenirs for you to take home. If you put them on your desk or in your office, they look pretty. So in your design, you consider people's aspiration for a better life, not just the utility functionalities. So we pay attention to the details. The details allow people to feel the city's culture, and it sends out warmth to visitors. It is like a bridge of information. Cultural information is delivered here. When we go to the tourist spots, we prefer to buy the postcards of the local flavor. I myself tend to stamp the postcards where I visit and send it to myself back home. It's a very interesting habit. You could see the stamps over there. And if you look at the architecture design, it's also of special flavor. It allows you to feel the local atmosphere. If you never mentioned, I would assume that this is just a normal post office. So the surroundings of Wukang apartment has a lot of stories. We just now were talking that there are so many long alleys with the parasol trees shading the streets, and those ancient architecture here are also very special. The parasol trees, the small alleys, and the small spaces constitute as multi-factor space. And if we walk outside, we can see this small garden. It's like a pocket garden. It's very small, but this is the place for the coffee. This is also a good position for taking photos. You could just take your cup of coffee and then shoot the photo from here with the post office as a background. So you're blending a lot of elements that's popular among the young. You can see the Wukang building logo on the cup of the coffee. I see so many people standing here holding this cup of coffee and taking photos. It's very interesting. Is this a new pavement? This is the accessibility lane for the disabled and the elderly. It's required. We need to be compatible with the previous required functionalities so that these places operationable when we are sending out some special flavors. In this small post office, you can drink a cup of coffee and you can leave behind some memories with the photos and the postcards. It's really memorable. It's truly a special scenario. We want to improve the entire surroundings, not just the Wukang apartment. And this entire surrounding is typical of Shanghai. It's very comfortable, casual, and alive. This is really a good example. In the plaza we just crossed by, there was a very special cafe shop as well. But in the interest of the rains, there hasn't been so many visitors today. There is also a supermarket. When the environment is improved, a lot of coffee shops settle here. We also hope the coffee shops will be more outward, and they must be consistent in style. And there must be some shelters for the visitors to run away from the sun outside the coffee shop. Let me treat you to a cup of coffee. You could see instantly what's inside the coffee shop. Let's take the seats. It's totally open to the visitors outside. It's an open space right now, no doors closed. Please take your seats. In front of us, it's the garden and the Wukang apartment building. This must be the most sought-after place in the coffee shop. Yes, you need to book this position. With the small rainfalls and the Wukang apartment building in our site, it's really very special. It's a charming place. Before I came, I had some questions in my mind. One biggest question is, Wukang apartment building is certainly very popular in the recent years. Why? We have valued historical architecture protection as always. In 2018, Wukang apartment building experienced an improvement in the surroundings. And we have a special project in Huahai Road. So we renovated some important lanes in the surroundings. In the process, the civilians certainly realized that actually we are living in such beautiful architecture right now. So they found beauty in their surroundings. People have always known that there is such a crossroad in Shanghai and this special building. But when they run here, they see the improvement of the entire environment. Even though the locals are used to this building, they feel the improvement firsthand, and the youngsters are attracted. In Shanghai, there are some fans preoccupied with the architecture, so they came here to take photos of this architecture. After the refurbishment, this ancient building looks different. I have two superficial questions about Wukang apartment building. Why is it in such a triangular shape? And another question is it an artistic space? Or does it have any other functionalities? It's actually an apartment. It was founded in 1924. It was called initially the Normandy apartment. It had gone through a long process of planning and designing. It was intended to become a special apartment building since it sits at the crossroad on the road leading from the west to the east, like Haipai Road. It was intended to become a landmark of the city. So that's the planning purpose. And from the architectural point of view, the designers were challenged. Wodak took charge and designed this special shape. It was really pioneering in those years. It was fashionable. Yes, it's a high-storied building after all. It's the most fashionable and modern architecture in those years. You two professors cooperated in improving the surrounding environment. For city landscape, it's like a name card of Shanghai. This building could be the residential place, and also Haipai Road, Yueya Road, Hengshan Road, and Wuchang Road, all settle here. Almost 31 tourist streets are in the surroundings, so the entire environment must be harmonious. Locals have higher aspiration for their lives, so history, culture, architecture, with years passing by, are left behind with the locals. They are more charming, and they have become an integral part of people's daily lives. It's very objective observation. The civilians will vote for our designs. This is like a place for people to slow down. When thrown into this space, you can listen to the stories of the architecture. According to Mr. Xu, you can see the ancient architecture by just sitting here, and you feel it when you sit here. With your footsteps, you will discover more. For a fine city, there must be a lot of fine architecture. With the history rolling on, the ancient buildings may age, but with good refurbishment and improvement, you discover that every architecture can become a splendid line of scenery. So the architectures have different styles in different historical periods, and it harbors a lot of stories in it. As long as you dig into one architecture, there certainly must be some stories about it. We just improve the neighborhood. We didn't spend too much to reform it in a big way. I found a detail. When those two talk about Wukang apartment building, they couldn't help but smile. It's like looking at their own children. In your planning phase, have you thought about, for example, changing the trees, the big trees? These two trees have always been here. They are very beautiful. There used to be bushes, and people can't even see the Wukang apartment building sitting here because they were blinded by the heavy bushes. when you are governing the city, you have to pay attention to what should be presented to the civilians. When you are planning the greening, you must pay attention to the details. You must know that people tend to take photos here. And if you design the bushes, the flowers and grasses and bushes must be low in height so as not to block the sight. On weekends, people come to paint just standing in front of us. People are happy. When you create a space, people enjoy in it. Be it the kid or the youngster or the elderly, they come specially to take photos and paint. They are happy. And we prove that when the environment is created in a good way, people love it. The city is beautified. From an aesthetic point of view, we discover the beauty of the city. And not just as professionals, the civilians could discover beauty. That's the point of our design. And that's the initial aspiration of us designers. It's really not easy. Dozens of departments of the city have to work together to redesign this place. For the poles, we have to design and plan. The green department, the construction department all have to get in to negotiate about just one power pole. So telecommunication department has to be involved as well. We've done these jobs before, but we used to be isolated islands. But now we are joining hands. That's about fine management of a city. We work for the same cause. Speaking of the fine management, to put it simply, we've refurbished the architecture. We hope to highlight the style of the building and improve the function. It can be open to residents living inside. In addition, it must be in alignment with the surrounding environment, so the whole environment must be harmonious. With our improvement, we create a general environment allowing you to see and appreciate Wukang apartment building and sit for some leisure time. How about let's talk over walk? Our viewers must be anxious to see more. You need eyes to find beauty. I have a question, Professor Wang. The fences are in a very beautiful shape. And it's narrow, actually. This is like a volcano. From the shape of it, it's very simple, looking like the volcanic vent. It's organic and natural, and in this space, the tourists will consider safety issues. So we designed this fence in this way, and also the need of the trees. So there will be different heights and different diameters. Because of the density of population, it cannot be too big, taking up too much space. You are very careful for every tile, the structure, or the sceneries. You consider everything. So are you so careful in your daily lives? Apart from your work, we are sensitive to the details as designers. In our daily lives, we pay attention to safety issues, the life issues, or the environment. When we are exposed to life or environment, we may be hit by our professionalism, and then we design those elements into our work. How about Professor Wang? Yes, we designers usually tend to be perfectionism. Just look at the parasol trees. It's typical in Shanghai. Parasol trees planted on two sides of a beautiful and narrow alley. That's typical of Shanghai. Have you noticed? Every architecture has its special designs. Take this one as an example. The air conditioner is covered. Is that a commercial behavior or an individual choice? Those are old architecture. We have to consider the consistent style of the balcony. So we cover the air conditioners, and the color and the structure of the appearance of the air conditioners must be compatible with the architectures. That's the real balcony over there, and those air conditioners look like the balcony. For those power cabins, they also contain a lot of information. There have been a lot of details like the flowers and grasses planted around the switch boxes. So when people walk by, they feel beauty. With the niche designs, people will be warmed. We seek perfectionism by designing the details. Of course, we cannot take out all of those utilities just for beauty's sake. So we have to redesign those utilities, and then our locals will enjoy this environment. For example, here, there are so many air conditioners. Those are very old buildings. There used to be no air conditioning system here before, but we use some shades to cover the air conditioners right now to make them both beautiful and functional. And they are very beautiful indeed. Designs of the details can change the environment. We have to consider the history of the architecture, and I cannot say that those good practices can be replicable anywhere, but I have to say that such a design is compatible with those balconies because they sit in the crossroads. Of course, we have some requirements to conform to, for example, history. You just mentioned that this is a crossroad of 5 to 6 lanes. It's wet and slippery on the road because of raining, but there have been no traffic jam of the crossroads, so the extension of the vehicle lanes is truly helpful. It doesn't cause any trouble to the drivers. We changed our concept of city design. Why did we extend the width? of the vehicle lanes because we were vehicle oriented. We hope that the cars and trucks will drive by quickly. But then, in the Western philosophy, we value maintaining or restoring the conjunction roads. So, people are safer because the pedestrian lanes are extended, but the vehicle lanes are narrowed. So we are now more pedestrian oriented, not vehicle oriented. We are now standing on the outer of the Wukang apartment building. This is like the veranda corridor of the apartment building. And also, this place cannot be too bright. So we designed the lighting in that case so as not to disturb the lives of the locals living around. It's after all a residential neighborhood. This apartment building cannot be too bright or too high profile. It should be elegant and mild in lighting. We have to consider people's livelihoods. Before we came, we saw that many people take photos, and they hold the ice creams in their photos online. So we are very excited about those ice cream shops. So this is one of them. Are you the owner of this shop? Yes. Hello everyone. I am the owner, Owen, of this ice cream shop. Nice to meet you. Could we have a taste of your ice cream? We've been operating here for 3 years and we rank number 1 according to the chart board of ice creams. I would love to thank all of our customers for their support and we are happy to take your interview. Now let's have a look. We will update our menu every month. They are in different shapes. This one looks like a hedgehog. This is the sheep. This is Minnie. And this is Mickey. For CIIE, we designed a special version. This is Panda. Is that a cup? No, it's actually a real bamboo. It's been already sterilized. And it's a special edition. Panda reminds us of China. It's our national treasure. And also the mascot of the CIIE is a panda, so we designed this panda-shaped ice cream. Can we enjoy this ice cream? Have you eaten their ice creams before? You two professors? Yes, we did. But sometimes, if it's a line queue, we just quit. So not for me. This is the most popular shop in the road, and you came very early. Yes, 3 years ago. It's very appealing. The more black the ice cream looks, the more appealing it looks for me. So how about we make you the panda ice creams? Sure. And we would love to see how it's made. And Mr. Xue prefers the black ice cream. Could you offer us 4 different flavors? Professor Wang prefers the pink one. I need a panda and a sheep and Mickey and Minnie. In December, there will be Santa-shaped ice creams, and deers and Christmas trees will be the key elements. Your ice cream seems to be the famous props for visitors taking photos here. And we have a reminder here. When it's hot outside in the summer, the ice cream may just fall onto the ground. We will remake one for those people for free. Their appetite will not be killed by those accidents in that way. One other question. According to the two designers, Wukang apartment building has experienced transformations. For the commercial shops, have you been influenced? Of course, there are changes. Years ago, Wukang apartment building looked differently from now. The government helps us to arrange those seats. And when people buy the ice cream, they just sit and enjoy the ice cream casually. It's good. So such refurbishment program brings a lot of benefits to you and the visitors at the same time. So many thanks to these designers for bringing the changes. That's the panda she's making. And panda eats bamboo, so we have the bamboo. And there is a Chinese character fu, meaning good fortune, attached to the bamboo. Take a look. It's cute. Because it's made of fresh milk. It melts quickly. Yes, indeed. This is real bamboo. It's called the panda that brings good fortune. And the bamboo is already sterilized with high temperature. This bamboo could also be taken home to be of practical functionality, for example, to hold your pens. Take a spoon to enjoy the ice cream. Also, you can eat the cookies. Start from the nose. How do you feel? Very rich milk flavor. It's sweet and scented. The ice cream tastes really good, so it's not just popular for taking photos. We highly recommend it. We have to offer both the look and the flavor. And every month you update your menu. Next month it's gonna be Christmas. Here is the sheep. The sheep must be made of cookie. Yes. Very rich milk. Shall we sit? Be my guest. Professor Wang, let's take a seat. Do you usually tour around and visit the shops here? Yes, frequently. But we cannot afford lining in the queue for half an hour. We usually go to the cafes, the bookstores, the beauty salons. That beauty salon is very historical. Can we go inside for a visit later on? Sure. To give you some information, According to my friend, that beauty salon is time-honored because on the opposite, that's the old mansion of Song Qingling. Many famous celebrities used to have their hair cut there. There are so many old residents in Wukang Road, for example, Beijing's mansion. So this is really a culture spot. I see that on the first floor, usually there are so many commercial shops for visitors, but on the above, that's for residents. Some napkins, please. You can eat this way. It tastes good. There are bookstores and some stores selling cultural and creative products over there. It's after all a civilized city, so there are a lot of cultural elements. We also value the protection of people's residence surroundings. Here it is. It looks like a princess. Let's take a photo together. Finally, let's move on. Thank you for your ice cream. Just put it in this cup, because it melts quickly. It's really adorable. I can't even take my bite. I heard that there have been generations of residents living here. In the first generation, they are usually the French people, and who are the others later on? Some others are intellectuals in the culture circle. They live inside. And business people. When the French people live a bit left, the intellectuals live inside. And then the general public. This is the beauty salon I was talking about. It's called Ziluolan Beauty Salon. Can we visit inside? The door is in the front. Have you had your hair cut inside? Actually, I am a customer here for over 10 years. It's also typical of Shanghai. I like it. I have a special bond with this salon. Speaking of the old Shanghai, we see many of those photos, and you can see the hairstyles with the curves. And according to the wording, it is heard that once the customers step inside, they will be received warmly. And the barbers will talk casually with the customers. So even a beauty salon is very historical. In the 1930s, Shanghai was called the Far East city. It's a metropolitan city in Far East. It's very fashionable in the 1930s. Not just the celebrities, even a usual girl would have to have her hair cut in the beauty salon. So now let's learn more about this salon. Could you introduce yourself? My name is Fan, and Professor Wang is actually my old customer. Shall we tour around? I have a story to share. 10 years ago, another charming point of this salon was that it offered cafe, a freshly made cafe. It's very beautiful. This is like VIP seats. Shanghai girls tend to make an appointment to have their hair cut together or just have some afternoon tea. So it's really a socializing place for Shanghai girls. What are those artifacts? This is like the lobby for the customers. They feel more relaxed sitting here. They can read books, drink tea or coffee while waiting for the haircut. Even the cups are beautiful. 10 years ago, their cups look like this. They are very delicate. That's typical of Shanghai as well. I see that in your cabinets, There are so many collected antiques. So, who are your customers? Since you are a time-honored brand, do you receive many old ladies? We aim at the young customers, but since we were open since 1936, it was like a leader in the fashionable circle. And now, the surrounding civilians receive us well, and we hope to sustain ourselves. Traditional hairstyles or services or skills are maintained. But now, we also add more fashionable elements in our hairstyles to cater to the youngsters. That's why there are some more advanced equipment, skills, or products adopted here so as to keep pace with the times and attract more youngsters. And we hope that this shop could be passed on. Yes, indeed, many historical elements are revived among the young people. Thanks to not just the historical factors, but also the innovation of themselves. Many Shanghai ladies are here realizing their dreams when they were young here. Yes, this salon used to be a classy place, and for the old ladies, when they were young, they would only go to the beauty salons when something big happened to them, like the wedding. But dozens of years have passed by. They are old right now, and when they learned that we are still open, they just come here. Even they cannot make it here, they ask their children to take them here, saying that I had my hair cut when I married, so could you help me again? So take a look at me. If I lived in those old times, what hairstyle is suitable for me? Every era has some fashionable factors. The youngsters right now have their own beloved trends. Do they wear glasses in those times? Yes, of course. But the glasses might be in round shape and in black color. According to the old people, in Hollywood movies, many of the hairstyles of the girls in the movies adopted the Shanghai elements. Once a haircut is very popular in Shanghai, in 1 to 2 weeks' time, this style might be adopted in the movie. And vice versa. When we watch the movie and see the hairstyle of the celebrity, we choose to copy that hairstyle. Those photos hanging there are examples. Those are very typical hairstyles of the Hollywood movie stars. You made the point. The Da Guangming movie theater designed by Udak used to be introducing the premieres of the Hollywood movies. People may travel from Tokyo to join the premiere in the Da Guangming movie theater. So that's why you said that within just 1 to 2 weeks' time, the fashionable elements will be rampant in Shanghai streets after the movie was on. So fashion has no borderlines. People have aspirations for better lives. They may invite back those classic elements in history, the arts and architecture alike. those artistic elements are having no age groups as well. For example, the cheongsam is very special Chinese clothing for the ladies. The hairstyles and the cheongsams constitute the charm of the Chinese ladies in the 1930s. Many youngsters may prefer to wear the cheongsam on the weekends. And Han Chinese clothing is having a comeback as well. For Shanghai style culture, cheongsam is typical in terms of the clothing. Mr. Fan, he's a youngster, and I am having my hair cut by a young person. Speaking of the cheongsam, people are wearing cheongsam on very special occasions. For example, for your daughter's wedding. Many parents may choose to wear the cheongsam when their children are having big exams, because the cheongsam has some pronunciation similar to having a victory. On November the 8th, our high style culture will have a special occasion for the cheongsam. Very famous designers of cheongsam will be there. I do want to learn some local dialect. If I say I want to have my hair cut, how to say it in Shanghai language? I'm not a local, so I'm not a good example for you. Do we pronounce well? For two ladies to say, let's go have our haircut together, it sounds like this. It sounds different for us. Some more, like, be a friend and help me. I learned about praising someone. To praise a girl, you say it like this. Mr. Fan, could you teach us some phrases? When your customers come, how do you introduce yourself? Can you speak Shanghai dialect? Actually, no. But once the hair is done, they say that it's cool. In Shanghai, you must learn some Shanghai language. Then we feel like we are truly integrating into the local environment. So every day, we talk to each other in several Shanghai dialects. So what have you learned? Very good. And we created some languages based on the dialect. For example, playing the mahjong. We are partners of mahjong. To praise a man, a responsible person, it goes like this. So that's all we can speak in Shanghai dialect. It's difficult. Between two girls, when they are talking in the local dialect, it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. Have their hair cut or drink a cup of coffee. That's typical Shanghai living style. When I was in college, I envy the students who can speak local dialect, and I have a roommate talking to her mother in the Shanghai dialect. I couldn't understand a word of it, but since I speak Northeastern language, my words are totally understandable to everyone. So that's the thing about local culture. Last but not least, I have a final question. To use some keywords to describe the Shanghai atmosphere or environment, what would they be? Speaking of environment, I recommend the Bund. Since young, when I was happy or unhappy, I chose to walk in the Bund. Another one. When I grow old, I prefer those scenery spots. They are quiet. They have special flavors. I'm happy walking in the scenery spots. So when I have time, I walk here. I don't live here, but I come frequently to have a walk. It's really about living the moment. Professor Wang. Sorry, Mr. Xu, first. This surrounding is typical Shanghai style. It's modern, because I'm in the salon business. All the fashionable and trendy elements can be found in this place. Maybe the latest trends can be found here. It's modern. Are we modern girls? Judging by what we're wearing now. Exactly. It's pretty good, pretty modern. If you have time, you can have a haircut here, and that helps. Professor Wang, please help our girls. They're very fashionable already. You can make them prettier. And as viewers, please stay with us. We have more modern elements. And we will have a new look for the next episode. The girls will feel the charm of this modern city in Shanghai. And Professor Wang, what's the most impressive thing of Shanghai? I'm a newcomer to Shanghai. I came here in 1987 because of the university, and I've stayed here for 3 decades. Just like Mr. Xue. In my impression, the Bund was the most typical Shanghai place. But now, in the surroundings of Wukang apartment building, you feel Shanghai more intimately. It is home to the best coffee shops, the beauty salons, and some best restaurants to eat local food. I will take you there next time. I have a dream. One day when I grow old, I hope to live in Hengshan Road. When I walk out in the afternoon time, I will go to the coffee shops and have my hair cut and eat the Shanghai local food in the evening and take a walk back home. That's my dream life when I grow old. We keep saying that the residents living above the floors may enjoy the scenery on the streets, and the visitors on the lanes might be taking photos. So every one of us, if live in the buildings, may become the sceneries. We are really impressed. Every time we walk on the streets and have our hands held, we met a couple of old ladies, and they are very elegant walking. And we thought that if we could be them one day, how good would it be? By now, the most favorable place for me is truly the Wukang Road, because there are the trees, the lanes, the delicious food, and the osmanthus flowers. In the raining season, if life could be so casual and beautiful, that's the ideal and dreamy life. We hope that our viewers one day could experience the same. Come and enjoy this special culture. And this is about the end of this live show. Please come and have a first-hand experience. What's that word in Shanghai dialect about welcome to Shanghai? Welcome to Shanghai for a tour. Alright, now this is the end of this show. Tomorrow at the same time, let's rejoin for more details of the culture, architecture, the food and more in Shanghai. Today we had ice cream, and also Mr. Fan will be here waiting for you tomorrow. Bye.